What's up? What's up? You are here with Sean, a PR and communications professional by day and an obsessive learner by night of entrepreneurship, psychology, and all things self-growth. Welcome to my channel. So, today's topic, I want to talk about a couple of the books I read coming into 2025. I did not finish them all. That is fine. You love a book, you dive in, you get what you need from it, and then sometimes you move on. So, let's recap. One really simple lesson that I loved from Rachel Rodgers' book, which I started applying immediately and had a lot of fun with, was this idea of like turning to yourself and asking, if I were a bad girl, what would I do? We have a lot of people-pleasing tendencies. It's kind of how our society runs. I can be very much a people pleaser as well. I push my needs aside, or you just kind of like do niceties. And then it's hard because what happens is like, when you get so used to that habit, like you habituate yourself in that way, you just kind of forget sometimes to check in and be like, what do I actually want to do? What do I want to do for myself? And then reading that helped me realize that, wow, okay, I can see how this is starting to turn into resentment, which is not only affecting me, but it's actually affecting the people around me. So in order to do the best for them, you need to do the best for yourself. How do you do the best for yourself? How do you know what you want? What would you do if you're a bad girl? And so I just started thinking about things that I was doing or had planned to do and being like, if I was just a total biatch and was like, everybody, what would I do? Same goes to you. If you're a bad human, what would you do? And that is a lot. I just found it cut the crap and it told me exactly what I would do if I was being naughty. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's helpful because now I can assess with both information rather than like gaslighting myself. So that was the first one I took from Rachel Rodgers. I also started reading not so long ago Steve Barlett's book, Diary of a CEO. Fantastic book, really easy read. If anyone just wants to dip a toe, the chapters are nice and short, there's little diagrams. One of the takeaways I took was don't disagree in negotiation, which I thought was really interesting because it's a psychological technique and one I recently learned by this guy in Masterclass. In the book, he talks about how, and there's a little diagram too, how if you're in a conversation with someone or a debate or a disagreement, they've said their piece, and you come into the conversation and you say, no, I don't agree. I disagree. I don't agree with you. The brain centers that are lit up and open to conversation and receiving informations are shown on scans to shut off. So once that happens, the moment you say, no, I disagree, once those shut off, they're no longer open to receiving information. So essentially, you could say all sorts of stuff. Yeah, it doesn't matter how much facts you say after that point because they've already gone, To further that, the guy in Masterclass also says, he says, you should, the best way, sorry, I shouldn't say should, you could. A great way to enter a conversation and debate and get someone on your side is to ask them a really simple question that prompts a yes response. Because that way they are opening up those centers of the mind and they're coming in from an open space. And this is all happening very subconsciously. What I also like about this though is it kind of fosters more of like a collaborative conversation. And when you're really like hot and bothered and upset about something, it's hard to have those conversations because you're just like, So I think it's a good way to practice being like a receiver as well as someone that wants other people to receive the information. Yeah, I think it's a good practice as well as helpful, clearly. Manifesting by Roxie. This book was fantastic and it came into my life early in the new year when I was just like, manifesting isn't just visualization. Visualizing that something will happen, hoping it'll happen, but visualization is a key component of manifesting. So manifesting is a bunch of other steps and visualization is one part of it. Great thing about visualization is it's really fun and it feels fucking good. Our bodies can't tell the difference between what is real and what's not real in our mind. So for example, if I was to the chalkboard, scraping down the chalkboard with my nails, you're instantly like, ugh. Whereas if I was like, think about someone you love or like the last time that you felt so happy or a really great meal you ate and you're just like, I'm just gonna think about that. And you're like, oh, that feels real good. It's visualization is tapping into this space where you go, okay, what do I want to see in my future? What does that look like? And then what does that feel like? And that's the main part, is feeling it. So activating that feeling in your body, using your mind as a tool to help allow those feelings to kind of wash over you. The thing here is of course it's hard to get over feeling like that could be real, you know, because your mind's like, you can't have that, or like as if, or like you're so far from that, whatever it's saying to you. So sometimes it can be really hard to reach that place of visualization because you're unable to actually believe in it. So maybe you're thinking about it and actually it just makes you feel anxious, or it makes you feel angry because you've got this blockage that's like, you don't deserve it, you can't do it. So another key part of manifesting is removing self-limiting beliefs. And I was like, well, I mean, it makes a lot of sense because it's hard to move forward if you literally won't allow yourself to move forward. So doing work on self-limiting beliefs, and that's a part of the process where you need to sit down with yourself and go, okay, what are the beliefs that keep me feeling trapped or unable to move forward? We have so many of these and they're really hard to figure out, obviously. Basically what I did was I wrote down, you know, I just would focus on one thing I wanted, and then I looked at some of the places I was getting stuck, and there's always the same places. And so identifying some of the reasons that maybe I stopped, and when I started writing them down, I started to pick up on, oh yeah, that one feels really true. You kind of know, because as soon as it's on paper, it's like it's glaring back at you and you're like, oh, I see you, you know? And then doing the work on that, and that in itself would probably be another video, but I think the awareness itself is enough to go, oh, I'm feeling that. Okay, I need to do something about that. Whether it's, you know, starting to change the thought or focusing, bringing awareness to it so it dissipates. But that's just the start of that. But that is 2 really fantastic lessons that I'm taking with me from that book, and I'm going to read that book again. Yeah, actually that reminds me as well of the Do You Fucking Mind podcast. That's fantastic. She has an episode on how we cockblock ourselves. And it's the same idea. We cockblock ourselves with all these thoughts and ideas about who we are as a person from way back when, or some comment someone said when we were a child, or whatever it is, an idea that we've grown up with. We then put all those things, we stack them in front, and we just cockblock ourselves. We just say, everything's in the way, and I put it there. I had a little rant about this. So this is me. This is the stuff that I'd love. This is a subconscious process of me cock-blocking, as she would say, myself, the shit I put in my way. I highly recommend that podcast too. Codie Sanchez's book, Mainstreet Millionaire. The main reason I read this book was for language. I wanted to understand the different kind of language people play with, the different kind of ideas and angles around brick and mortar business. And there were probably 2 little things I took away from that mostly. One was life is hard, work is hard. It just all takes work. And it was within the first few pages. It applies to everybody. The other lesson I learned, the term motivated seller. I really liked this concept of the motivated seller. And I liked it because it applied this psychological lens to business, where it's like, that's right. Even though this is a business, this is a whole world that, like, to some of us who are learning about it, are like, what is this monster? It's still a human process. But the main thing was, like, with a business, she talks about a motivated seller and just dives into what that really means, which is basically like, just so you have your like local cafe down the road and you're like, oh, I can never buy that. Like, why would they sell it? It's so successful. It's running great. But you might find out later through chatting with the owner, like, oh, they are, you know, getting to a stage where they really need to retire, or they've had a massive health scare and now they need to basically rest the whole time. None of their kids want to take on the business. So learning about this concept of the motivated seller made me think like, ooh, I'm building a relationship with this person and figuring out, okay, what works for you? Like, what's going on here? What are your needs? What needs to be met? How can I meet those needs? And then in return, how could your needs meet mine? You know, how can we meet in the middle in a way where you want to get out of this business quick? Like, you just cannot do this anymore. I don't have all the funds, but we could organize where I, you know, pay you a percentage every month to pay off that amount. 2 people meeting in the middle, finding a way to make things work for each other. And then another thing she mentions is like keeping local businesses thriving rather than everything being sold out to like the megas. So I thought that was a really nice sentiment for multiple reasons. And that is my lesson from that book. The last book I will go into is The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferris. Oh, it's not an old book, but like, you know, there are so many videos on this on YouTube. The amount of people that in the space that I work, like in communications and advertising and agency land, like everyone's read this book. And so I don't really know why it took me so long to get this book. I wasn't there yet, you know. The 4-Hour Workweek just seemed so like Now I'm like, yes, I've burnt out. I want that. Anyway, I found this book on one of the book swaps. We have these street libraries, you can swap books. And I was like, definitely got to read that. And I was obsessed. I consistently think about building so many different projects and doing all these different things. I get really excited by ideas and I want to do them. And I used to think that, oh, I can just do this myself. And then I'd go to do something and it would take me, a day or a couple of days, and I would have done not that much compared to how large a project is. And I would get all upset and be like, oh, like I'm so useless. But after working in like agency environments for years and across different projects, now I'm like, okay, no. I was like unhelpfully unrealistic. Like one person can't do all that work in such a short amount of time. And also like you can't do all these things you want to do as one human being. Anyway, what this book made me realize, even though I was starting to realize it myself, was that you cannot scale on your own, because what happens is you become the bottleneck for everything. Everything has to funnel through you. If you don't have enough time, if you ain't got enough energy, you are the bottleneck. And it's like at a company too. It's like if you've got all these projects happening with like big teams, but every little thing has to be signed off by one person, they become the bottleneck and they hold the entire process up, because everyone's coming in being like, sign this off, sign this off, sign this off, sign this off, sign this off. And this person's only got limited hours in the day. Like they might not get to all these things to review and sign off. And this has literally happened to me. And so that person needs to find a way where they're like, okay, I can't be the bottleneck for all this activity. Things need to keep moving regardless of where I am, what I say, and if I'm present or not. And so he talks a lot about hiring a virtual assistant and getting to know virtual teams. You can build yourself a virtual team. Yeah, just realizing that you can't scale if you're on your own, because you become the bottleneck, and therefore, you need to consider how you can build a team around you. And I have lots of creative friends who do similar things, but they work in other industries like theater and music, and they're already doing this in the way that they are hiring and paying for like producers and filmmakers and photographers, and it's really similar. I guess the main thing here was like, don't put all that pressure on yourself to think that you have to or even can do all of it. Take the pressure off, because it's not possible. Don't be the bottleneck. Those are the lessons I'm taking from these books into 2025. Needed to recap them so that I can also recall, and I hope that you got something useful. And if you did, to my audience that does not exist right now, please leave a comment, because I'm here to have conversations and learn stuff and talk about stuff. What do you think?